Hello everyone, there's a question in the forums about using checkboxes and variables to keep track of an ongoing like risk type score. And the idea is that when students click yes or no or not applicable, that these are weighted, and so maybe in this case yes adds 3 points to their risk, no adds 0. But on this line, no could be a bad thing, and so that adds 10 points to their risk, where a yes would be a good thing, and so you could subtract points from the risk. So the idea is, how do we set this up and let the student change their answers and go back through? So this is my solution, and you should check out the forum for it, because there's actually, and I'll put a link in the title of this screener, there's actually several good ways that other people have solved it, but this is my solution, and it's not completely finished. There's a couple of things I would do, but enough talk, let's get to it. So I have all my buttons set up, and let's take a look first at the different variables I have. So I have a number variable for each question in there, and so it's currently set at 0. And then I have a total risk sum that I'm calling the total risk here. In this case, it's the risk that you might be a geek. And then each of these buttons is in a group. So this one is in the button set Q1, and you can see, all 3 of these are in Q1, and then the next 3 are in Q2, Q3. Not very inventive with my names here, but it's working. And then just for troubleshooting purposes, I've stuck back here a text box that shows me the value of Q1, so that just to help me when I was setting it up. I would remove this probably now, for once I publish it for the student consumption. Then on each one of these buttons, I set the value of that particular question's variable. I set the value equal to whatever I want, 2, 3, 4. And by setting it, then we can just overwrite, so that if the student changes their mind and clicks a different box, it'll just reset that value. And then finally I have this calculate button, and that one goes through and adds the values of all the these 4 variables. So that one, first I set the risk sum to 0, and that's so that if they've gone back and changed their mind, I start with a fresh number. So I set it to 0, and then I add the question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4 to get the total. So let's take a look at how it looks. So I'm going to hit set yes. So that adds 2 to this one, to this question. In this case, we'll say not applicable, because and that's going to subtract 2, because if you haven't thought about technical specs, then you're probably not a geek. And then here, if we have studied Klingon, then we're going to add 10 points. That makes you pretty geeky. And here we'll just say no, and so it's a 0. So when I hit calculate, boom, there we go. So it was came up to 10, because these two cancel each other out. And now if I go back and I change my answers and hit calculate, then it updates this. And that's one thing I might change, is I might have it automatically calculate when these variables are updated. You could easily set up a trigger for that, so you could change, instead of having this calculate when this button is clicked, you could have it trigger. It's time for a break. You could have it run that trigger whenever any of these variables change. But that's my solution, and I hope it helps. Thanks. Check us out at elearningenhanced.com.